بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد، قد قال الله تعالى في كتاب الحكيم وهو أصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. صلوات على محمد وآله. It is time to sum up what we have been discussing in the last 4 lectures. And we need to deal with the challenges that you and I are faced with. It is actually the night of the Quran. I must say that in all humility, based on my research and the research of my colleagues, both Sunnis and others, Laylatul Qadr seems to be the 23rd night of Ramadan. More than any other night. The traditions have pointed towards the 23rd night. Although there are references to the 27th night, but even my Sunni colleagues are coming to a clear understanding and consensus that apparently it was 23rd night. Apparently it was 23rd night. What does it mean? This is Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alf shahr. This is the night that is better than 1,000 months. This 1,000 is not literal number. It simply means there can be no comparison of this night with any other moment in the history of this community, Muslim community. What it simply means is that anything you do tonight to please God has a significant reward awaiting you. Of all the other times in our Muslim calendar, nothing comes closer to the night of 23rd, although 15th Shabbat is also commonly celebrated among all Muslims, Sunnis and Shia, all of them. Laylatul Mi'raj has become obsolete with the Wahhabi tendencies. Nobody talks about it. Laylatul Mawlud, nobody thinks about it. But as much as they may have tried to question the authenticity of the revelation, and there were many who did, by the way. The Umayyads did. The Abbasids played later on with the same thesis. It's nothing new. It's not the Orientalists alone who are asking about the authenticity of the revelation. There were Muslims who doubted, and there were rulers who propounded the thesis that this Quran was, it was Kalam Muhammad, Kalam al-Nafs al-Muhammad, something they were saying. In other words, the question marks remained for a long time. And they continue today. But what is certain about this particular night is, I think the documentation, the Quran itself, is the documentation. Anything that you claim on the basis of a text, one needs to establish the cognitive validity of the text. What does it teach? What does it say? Is there something there that contradicts a human logic, contradicts history, contradicts philosophy? What does it do? And I'm telling you that this is a challenge for you and I, who claim that the Quran is our book, that the Quran is the guidance from God, and it is the word of God. You and I believe that. There's no way for us to say that, no, we don't believe and still be Muslims. To be a Muslim means to believe in the authenticity of the Quran itself. I'm not talking about the Sunnah. You can leave the Sunnah aside. The text of the Sunnah does not come into being until after 200 years, in the form that you and I have seen it. The Sahih or whatever the books are, they are all in the 9th century of Common Era, 3rd century of Islamic era. In other words, these texts do not stand the test the way it does for the Quran. Therefore, the Quran it remains, if I can put it historically as a non-believer, I would say that the Quran remains a text that goes exactly to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For sure, nobody doubts that. Now, who said it? Where was it received from? Whether it was something that was inspired to the Prophet in exact words that have been revealed. All of these things are academic. The fact remains that the text is in the language that the Prophet spoke in 7th century. It is a language of Hijaz. It is a dialect of Mudar, a particular tribe that was known for its eloquence, that was known for its knowledge of the grammar without having written anything about the grammar. They were eloquent speakers. And language does have a power. I think some of the French scholars have done a lot of justice by just telling us that whoever said it, but the language of the Quran is beautiful. The language of the Quran has multi-layered meanings. Now, all of this having been said, I come back to my own original topic today. The Quran and the human perfection. Had it not been the emphasis of the Quran on the human perfection, and I want you to remember all the time that whereas Christianity insisted that human beings were born with original sin, and in order to be delivered and saved, they need to accept Jesus Christ as their Savior, and there was no way out for them, for any human being to be saved except by accepting Jesus Christ, and that was the only way that the original sin would be neutralized. Imagine somebody says to you that you've been created with this weakness, with this problem, and the only way to correct this problem is to accept such and such personality as your Savior. And you accept that person and you become saved. Islam did not start like that. Islam started with enormous confidence in human capabilities and human capacities. It started very much by emphasizing that there is something naturally given about human beings. What is the natural given to the human beings, naturally given to human beings, is the ability to know right from the wrong, from the very beginning. فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. You and I all human beings, regardless, are born with the nature of the divine. Can you imagine? It sounds audacious on the part of the Quran to say that all human beings, regardless of their color, creed, gender, are equally created. This is a major statement, by the way. And this is what has surprised many of the Western scholars, that how could Muhammad think about universal idiom from the very beginning? Universal language. You need to base it on something, that universality becomes deeply ingrained in all human beings, and no human being can claim to be superior to another human being. No. I'm no better than you. You are no better than me. We all share the same fitrat Allah allati fatara an-nas alayha. God has created us with that fitra, with that nature. And that nature will lead us to perfection, because we are meant to be perfected. We are meant to be ethical. We are meant to be intelligent. We are meant to be technocrats. We are meant to be scientists. We are meant to be sensible. I want to say anything that I can find to say that we are meant to be scientific. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For the Quran, it is a shock. For the Quran, it is a shock to realize that human beings ignorantly avoid confronting their own superior nature that is put by God in them. Not to think is to avoid divine blessing. Are you with me? Not to see with the deeper eyes that God has given in our hearts is to miss the opportunity to know in depth any subject that you and I know. You know what's the message? Stop being literalist. Stop being superficial. Go into the depth and you will discover your own being. In a very simple hadith that has been quoted time and again by the Sufi masters, by the Sufi-oriented people, I don't know, they have repeated it time and again. Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu faman araf. What it simply means is that when you realize your potentials, the moment you realize your potentials, you understand the divine being who created you. Your potentials are the ones for you to discover. If you close your eyes, you close your mind, you close your ears, you are stopping all the sources of knowledge for yourself. And the moment you do it, you will be blind on the day of judgment. Yes, it is in the Quran. You will be ama. Ain mim ye. You will be blind. You will be resurrected blind because you close your eyes towards the truth, towards the justice in this world. What a challenge. This is 23rd night of Ramadan. Don't take it lightly, by the way. Why is it khayr min alfi shahr? Ask yourself. Because I can do more tasbih tonight? Because I can do more Quran recitation tonight? That's why it is important. Hamari hajat badi kabulta se ajarat na. Oh, very nice. Both are. That's good. Badi dua kabulta se. Yes, dua kabulta se besharti ke. If only you would realize the potential with which God has created you. Let's look at the challenge then. I'm going to push you very fast through the material tonight because I have a lot of material. I could take 2 hours to teach tonight, but I will try to keep myself as limited as possible. The focus is tonight on something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described himself in the Quran, by the way. You all read it as part of the pious practice. I know you do. The 4 sections of the Quran. You read Surah Ayat al-Kursi, Mulk, something, I don't know, Aman al-Rasul, and Shahid Allah. Something 4, 5 things you read every day. 3 times a day, right? Have you ever thought what this ayah is trying to tell you? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط. Learned people and the angels are testifying that this Lord of the creation is fair and just. Can you imagine? You read it as a pious obligation. I don't know. Sawab che padwano. So everything is sawab. We never think that the sawab is attached with ma'arifah, with some kind of deeper understanding. Don't do things like ignorant people do. The Quran is very much worried about it. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Keep away from ignorant people. Why is Quran saying keep away from ignorant people? You cannot change them. They will not change. You and I have an opportunity on 23rd night of Ramadan to change, to transform from being superficial, being so ritualistic, to something far more important, contributing thinkers of the community. You have an opportunity. You think God will not ask you on the day of judgment, what did you do with your mind? You think God will not ask you, what did you do with your eyes? With your tongue? You gossiped, huh? You backbited, huh? You criticize people all the time, right? But you never said anything good about them, did you? So, all bodily parts are capable of doing khair wa shar, khair wa shar. The 4th pillar that I mentioned is justice. But I would dare say, that the entirety of the ethical system in the Quran is based on justice. The moment you become unfair to yourself, unfair to fellow human beings, you lose membership in human community. In human community, I didn't say Muslim community. Listen to me carefully. I used to have arguments. When we went to Najaf, for example, some time ago, and I said, why do you need to see such and such person? They had no answer. It's sawab to see them. Well, if you know that such person, such names are connected with injustices, would you go and see them? Would you go and visit them who have done injustice in the name of religion, in the name of Imam Hussein, in the name of Imam Sahibul Zaman? Would you go with them? People have done it. They go into the salam, kiss hands, give their rings. Please make this barakah. Take this ring, make barakah. So barakah is there. Barakah is not injustice. Barakah is not doing the right thing. Barakah is to do the ritual things. Who are we cheating? Who are we cheating? The entire edifice of Islamic morality is justice. Let's try to understand. Justice in the administration of the people, in running their affairs. How do we do it? No favorism, no nepotism, no lies, no academic lies, no scholarly lies, where you don't say the truth. All right? The Quran regards justice as the main force that keeps the entire nature in order. If you move the sun a little bit, even one fraction, it will have a problem in the entire solar system. It's based on qist wal adl. Your heart, the way it pumps the blood, if anything goes wrong, you will be sick. It is following the order of nature. I don't say that it's following the order of God. I'm secular enough to realize that many people don't even know it. But your heart functions the way it has been wired to function. You and I, we know it. We think that it's us who does these things. What God is trying to tell us, the Quran is trying to say that everything is in mizan. The other word that the Quran uses is mizan. It's not only adl. Everything is in balance. There are three words that the Quran introduces. There is mizan, there is adl, and there is qist. All these words mean very similar, the same, but every symbol has its own metaphor. It takes you there. Among the four pillars, justice is the most critical in the development of good personhood. I am telling you, you try to do the 100 rakat namaz. You are paband. You do all the namaz and properly and everything you do properly, but there is one link missing in it. You are unfair to your children. You are unfair to your spouse. You are unfair to your neighbor. You are unfair to your fellow citizens. You have lost the opportunity to be just. Are you with me? It's a very serious matter. Please try to understand it. Every matter has its space, has its place. Everything that you do has its proper place appointed by the social system, by the cultural system, and you are supposed to follow it. The culture might be right and the culture might be wrong, and yet you need to do it. Imam Ali, Allah, karram Allah wajhahu. Ahl Sunnat wal Jama'ah, whenever they mention Imam Ali, say, karram Allah wajhahu. Yes, karram Allah wajhahu. He was the one who never bowed in front of any idol. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He never bowed down. Believe it or me, the moment you learn about Imam Ali, you become daring in your life. You stand for the truth, and you will never give it up in front of any authority, as long as you are fair and just. Imam Ali says, I'm sorry, my eyes are getting wicked. Okay. Inna Allah ta'ala anzala kitaban hadiyan, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Bayyana fihi al-khair wal-shar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed the book. What did He explain in it? Kehta namaz padho? Kehta roja rakho? No, He didn't do it. In the whole Quran, there is no, instruction about how to pray or how to fast. Because what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, look at the Prophet. He will teach you. Learn from him. Because he's not only the symbol of the ritual performance, he is the truth about the sit, but what are the rituals that you are following? He's the truth. If you don't follow the Prophet, if you don't look at the Prophet, you will not learn anything. You will not. When the Prophet says, Fatima tabid'atun minni, Fatima is part of me, then you need to remember that without Fatima, you can never understand the Prophet. Because she is part and parcel of the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The whole philosophy of revelation is summed up in one sentence by Imam Ali. Look at the beauty of the sentence. Inna Allah ta'ala anzala kitaban hadiyan, guiding you. Bayan fihi al-khair wa shar. What do you need in guidance? Tell me, what do you teach your children when they are becoming now knowledgeable? They can move around, they can touch things, they can do things. What do you teach them? Baba, don't touch that, okay? It's not good. Look at the words you use. That's not good. Mama will be very angry about it. Baba will be very angry about it. Yeah, don't touch this one. Don't write on this, okay? You can write on the paper, but don't write on the clothes. That's not good. You're using moral categories, and the child is learning good, bad, approval, non-approval. Look at the way you are teaching the children. Look at the way you are bringing them up. And those children are learning from you. Day by day they learn. And if you don't tell them, who will tell them? Who will guide them? And Imam Ali says, he said, you know, this was at the beginning of his Khilafah, by the way, when he said it. Muhammad Abdu quotes him. The Muhammad Abdu, the Egyptian reformer, he's the one who was quoting him. He says, that, you know, فَخُذُوا نَهْجُ الْخَيْرِ تَهْتَدُوا. You take what is the method of doing right things, good things, and follow it. Be guided by it. The whole Quran is summed up as what? As a moral guide. Am I exaggerating? Am I saying something that I did not see in the Quran? No. I'm saying the truth about the Quran. Let's move on. Justice negates oppression and suppression. You can't oppress people who are under your authority. You can't suppress the truth. This is all against justice. One principle of justice, if you remove from any governance in the world today, that governance will collapse. الملك يبقى مع الكفر ولا يبقى مع الظلم. Any government will survive with disbelief, but it will not survive with oppression. Are you listening to the Imams, the way they are putting the whole equation? This is Prophet's hadith, by the way. Al-mulku yabqa ma'al kufri wa la yabqa ma'al dhulm is what the Prophet said. No government can survive. No government can survive if it oppresses. And even disbelief. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in any religion. You need to believe in good and bad, so that you do the good and avoid the bad. You can still be moral and ethical. But how important would it be, as Imam Ali would say, yeah, once you know it, then guide yourself, because that's why the book came. The book came to help you out, because there are many issues that you don't understand, you don't know. Tanzil, revelation. This is my claim. I haven't come in, I haven't read, I will be honest, I haven't read in any tafsir, but my own understanding of the Quran is that tanzil of the Quran is actually equal to justice, to be fair. The Quran introduces the idea of justice more than 30 times, underscoring the divine concern for justice and equity. Shahid Allah, the ayah that I read. Sharia, now I'm coming to my thesis in my book, can become reality only with justice. Whenever you receive a fatwa from anywhere, ask a question. Is it just? Is it fair? If the answer is no, don't follow that fatwa, whoever it comes from. No truthful person will give the fatwa on falsehood. Are you with me? I'm being very serious here. This is my last, I don't know if I will come again, in Toronto. I don't know really. There are forces that don't like me. There are forces who are with me. There are forces that are against me. I don't care anymore. If it had not been for my spouse, my wife, I would not have been with you. Therefore, I see it, that all the sawab goes to my wife, Fatima. She's the one who is earning. She was the one who told me, go for the sake of the people. I said, the people, they don't care for me. They care for, they like to hear someone who challenges the Sharia, challenges the authorities. They like that, they like these games. That's what I told her. I said, no. You go for the sake of Fatima Zahra, salamullah alayha. So I know Fatima is knocking at me. Fatima Zahra, have you done your job? I'm being very honest with you because I don't think I will come again and again. I don't think so. So, more than 30 times. The Sharia can become reality only if with justice between the needs of the body and the spirit. My body needs something, my spirit needs something. I need to be guided in both ways. Catholic Church is very much struggling with the needs of the body. It is more inclined to accept the needs of the spirit. But it ignores, because the church historically has been an institution that kept away from representing the world. It claimed to represent the interests of the divine. That's what the church did. Without leaning to extremes, ifrat or tafrit. You don't do this. Don't be overly concerned about the way you look. Also, don't go dirty and, without combing your hair, Don't do that either. Do properly. Treat yourself properly. The Prophet's mission was founded upon justice. Believe it or not, Jahiliyyah had one problem. Extremes. The period of Jahiliyyah, the Prophet knew, if you can bury your daughter, thinking your daughter is a burden for you, what else can be more wrong than that? You can bury your daughters. بِأَيِّ مِنْ قُتِلَتْ. On the day of judgment, this small girl will tell God, Ya Allah, for what sin was I buried alive? Because my parents thought I was a burden. Can you imagine? And the Prophet said, no way. I will show you what a daughter is. إِذَا دَخَلَتْ فَاطِمَةٌ قَامَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. When Fatima came, the Prophet stood up and made her sit in his own place. Look at the way the standards changed. The values changed. Human dignity was taken into the centrality of all human relationship. The moment you hurt anybody's dignity by telling lies about them, then you have sinned against God, and God will not forgive you. That's what God says. Touch somebody's dignity. Accuse them of something they have not done. Or look down upon them because of the afwa, of the gossips you have heard. Then you have done injustice, and God will not overlook that injustice. You see, I'm presenting to you the standards. Now I come to my book that I'm writing. So I ask myself, if there is no philosophical ethics in the Quran is not influenced by the Greek philosophy. Otherwise, it would have spoken about the virtues. The Greek philosophy was based on virtues. Aristotle firmly believed that if you want to be truthful, then you must live a life of truthfulness. You want to be confidential, then you must practice confidential in your life. You should become personification of justice. You should become the personification of temperance. If you become that, then the virtue of temperance will be seen by everyone. In other words, what Aristotle believed is correct, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is correct. In order for you to set an example, you need to practice that virtue yourself first. If you don't practice that virtue, your children will not follow, will take you for granted. They will not follow you. Why should they follow you? Who are you? You are not an authority. What is the Sharia without justice? I'm asking you the question now, and I want you to be very, very honest about it. How many times have you asked yourself, when you were told a woman has no right to ask for divorce unilaterally, without first getting the approval of the husband to initiate the divorce, what came to your mind? That's why it was unfair and unjust that my wife, while I am given unilateral right to declare my divorce to my wife has no equal right to do that. Even if she is wronged, she has no right to initiate that. These rules were made by the fuqaha. The jurists sat down and they wrote these rules. It's not detailed in the book of God. The Sunnah of the Prophet, I told you just now, they were written about 200 years down the line. Oh, who can find out what was the truth and what was not the truth? Only Fatima Zahra knew the truth. Yes, this lady said, my father's hadith must be valued against the Quran. Anything that doesn't agree with the Quran, my father could not have said. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. What an intelligent way for the Bibi to do it. That my father cannot say something that is contrary to the Quran. He could not do that. This is Fatima Zahra. Look at the education of the Prophet and the way the daughter is educated. She is daring to tell the authorities right in the mosque, hey, stop quoting my father. My father could not have said anything that's contrary to the teachings of the Quran. And she laid down the principle. So whenever you read the hadith, try to evaluate it. Try to see if it comes closer to the values taught by the Quran. If it doesn't, reject it. Are you with me? Reject it. Can a jurist, mujtahid, faqih determine a ruling without engaging different aspects of justice? Can they do it? You think they can do it? Yeah, I think generality of the people would say, under the laws of taqleed, we don't question what the mujtahid says. We have no right to ask how the decision was made. Under the rules of taqleed, we are simply to accept what we are being told and follow it through, literally. And that's not what the Quran is teaching, my friends. The Quran is saying, no, wait a minute. You must ask, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Are you thinking? If you are thinking, then you have need to ask. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. Don't you have hearts? Don't you have the seat of conscience in you? Why don't you ask? How does a ruling achieve cognitive validity? A very loaded term, and I'm sure many of my listeners might not know what is. Cognitive is based on the logic of the knowledge. Your mind dictates to you how you understand the reality and becomes cognitive to you. Validity is very much dependent upon the kind of evidence you use, what kind of evidence you provide in order to support your decision. Most of the time, the fatwa is given on the basis of the text. But what if the text has been tampered with? If the text is no more authoritative, what do you do then? Who should you follow then? This is what I'm talking about. How does a ruling achieve cognitive validity? Are the principles of decision making separated from considerations of muraqabat? You remember muraqabah, yesterday's lecture? Muraqabah, yesterday's lecture. Those who are not here might know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever He tells us to do something, He is very much considerate of our abilities. He will not impose anything that is impossible on us. He will not do that. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. تكليف ما لا يطاق. Without providing you with enough strength, with enough ability, He will not burden you. He burdens you. You might think that I'm being overburdened, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows in His justice that no, He's not doing it. He's not doing it. Sometimes your loved one dies. Sometimes, your wealth is lost. Sometimes so many things happen in your life, and you are going through the suffering, and you are trying to evaluate the situation, and you come to this understanding that, well, how do I understand? What is the intention of my Lord, my God, my Rabbul Alameen? And I'm telling you, I'm assuring you, I one day, the one who is sitting in front of you, you might think I'm a saint. I'm not. I was in a shop in Mashhad, in a travel agency, and I was not getting the seat. I got angry and I blamed wrongfully the accountant. This was 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning. My conscience was biting me. And I said, why did you pick on him in particular? He was not at fault. Oh, you insulted him in front of everyone. All the other clerks, they were all looking at him. And this foreigner, professor, is insulting this man. I'm telling you, wallahi billah, I came out. I went to the university, Firdausi University, and I was crossing a drainage, and I fell face down. Believe it or not. I would have lost my eye on that day. My bone is broken even now. God said, this was not expected from you, of all the people. You are a teacher. Shame on you. I will not let you go. You will learn the lesson. I was invited to go to Malaysia and Indonesia to lecture, and all my lectures had to be cancelled because of my injury. And my face had become black, believe it or not, my brothers and sisters. There was one lady in our neighborhood. Che gunahi kardi. She asked me very honestly. Khale June, she was Khale, she was Masi. And she said, what have you sinned? Why did you, of all the people, fall into the drainage with the cement walls? You know how the drainages are. Cement wall. And I hit my side on this. And Allah wanted to say, no, I will not take it from you. No, you are the last person to do it. How many times God improves us? You need to be in good books of God to be improved by Him. Believe me or not. I did not complain. I immediately learned my lesson. I said, Ya Allah, I wronged someone. I wronged someone. It was unfair on my part to pick on him in front of everyone. I insulted him. I'm ashamed of myself. I went 3-4 times to him, all injured, all black face, my eye covered for several weeks. How does a ruling achieve cognitive validity? That's the way it achieves cognitive validity. You know from the bottom of your heart, you didn't do the right thing. Can you develop that kind of consciousness? Yes. You can develop that kind of... Otherwise, your consciousness becomes blind. It doesn't speak up anymore. You want to keep it alive. How do you do it? The challenges await you and me. I'm getting closer to my time now. I have so much material, but I will be short and quick. We need decisiveness in one's intention. Your niyyah should be strongly binding you. The intention that is fortified by the ability to execute it. I'm going to the lecture today. That's an intention. Execution of that intention takes a lot of work. And that work sometimes might not be executed because you were wishy-washy about your intention in the first place. So what I'm suggesting here is that it needs unwavering, supporting the truth. Supporting the truth is not easy, my friends. Yes. We always think about our own benefits. Why should I say the truth? I will be taken to task for no good, Why should I be, the one to be deprived? He is already deprived. In other words, we have several ways of, the mechanisms of justification are enormous for human beings. Making excuses. And committingly willing to face the difficulties on one's path to building a good character. Good character is truth. My dear sisters and my brothers, truth, truth, truth. Al-Haq. Don't you say it, don't you see in what you say in Dua Iftatah towards the end, Ya Allah, when you make the truth known to us, give us the ability to follow it. It's not enough to know the truth. It's important to follow it. That's what you are telling Allah. In Iftatah, by the way, in the last part, where Imam Sahibul Zaman is being invoked, that give him the power, give him the ability. My brothers and sisters, we have put Imam Sahibul Zaman in the back of everything. We don't care. I will speak from my Imam. We don't care for him. Kushali che, sutyu Imam no janam. Oh, okay, good Imam. Barman, oh, moti kushali che. Okay, so, that's how we evaluate Imam Sahib. Oh, moti kushali che. Sari per vi joye, suit per hu joye. Wow. We haven't changed in ages, have we? We haven't changed a bit. And here is Imam Sahib Zaman telling us, I'm your Imam. Do you know me? Man arrafani arraf Allah. The one who knows me, God knows God. Hey, I don't even know my Imam properly. I know the Aghaz, I know the Maraj, I know, they see the Imam. As if they know it for sure that the Imam comes to these people. Yeah. No, the Imam doesn't come to them. Imam comes to you and me, the ordinary folks. Imam comes to us, not to these very special individuals. They don't need the Imam. They are Imam themselves. They call themselves Imam, don't they? Haven't you heard? There is now Imam Takim. There is Imam Sachedina. Imams. We are so proud to call ourselves Imam. And we have no ability to know what qualifies me to become an Imam. Hey, wait a minute. Don't call me Imam anymore. I'm not. I'm Abdulaziz. Call me Abdulaziz. See the way we devalue the Imam. And the word Imam becomes an ordinary term. It's like, the Pope, the papal authority. And look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entangles the church. You think there are no problems in the madaris of our own religion? There are so many problems. You go to Deoband, you go to Bareilly, you go to Najaf, you go to Qom. Everywhere there are human problems. Don't idealize one place over the other. Human beings are human beings. Decisiveness should not lead to arrogance or animosity or doing wrong to others. That's what I'm talking about. These are the challenges for you and me. I'm coming very close to finishing it. But I don't want to go through this. Wow, these are philosophical things. You will read my book later on. But I want to come to this one now. Can I stand? Can I stand? I want to ask you, if this figure makes any sense to you. If you look at it, does it really tell you something? I want one very clear volunteer loudly to tell me, what does it indicate to you? Maybe Nazmul can do it. Yes. Nazmul, you are a good student of mine, so you have to speak up. What does it tell you? When you look at it, I'm talking about how a fatwa is given. How a fatwa is given. You and I don't know it, but most of the time you and I have no idea how a decision is made in the juridical organization, in juridical institution. I'm talking about juridical ethics now. That's the thesis of my book. That there is ethics underlining the jurisprudence, interpretive jurisprudence. And therefore it is very important for us to keep in mind. I've brought this for the last lecture so that I leave you with something to think about. In order to derive any decision, The scholars examine the text. They go through the text of the Quran, they go through the text of the Sunnah, they also go through the text of the past decisions that were made on a similar occasion or about a similar topic. This is what the barrister does in the modern legal system. You go through the history of decision making. How is there any precedent in the past decision making that can help you to understand how a decision was made, on what basis, what kind of evidence was used, so that you can establish the cognitive validity of your ruling. Now, imagine I go to a scholar. This is where I stand now, where I go to the scholar. And I bring a case in front of the scholar saying that my mother is ill in the hospital and there is no way to save her life. Everything has been done. Ahl al-khibra, that means the experts are saying there can be no way to save that life. Should we make a decision to stop tube feeding? This is a question we always, many of us ask in the hospital situation. That's a new case. So if I'm the scholar who is going to get you an opinion, I would go back and forth in my research and would use that in order for me to come to a very clear understanding of what we call the problematic. I problematize the response that I have to give, and I have to find out how exactly would I give that decision. So you can see the arrow going up and down. That means I'm going to the modern case and going back and forth to the sources, to the Quran, to the Hadith, and I'm coming back to the case to see, is there any way to solve this problem? This lady is in the hospital, she is not, there is no cure, there is no hope whatsoever. Everything necessary has been done medically, and there is no way to save life here. There's no cure. How would we do this? How would we then handle the case? I'm searching for hukm, I'm searching for juridical decision, I'm searching for a fatwa to give. This is how I give a fatwa. I go through the sources, present the case, and try to find what will be probably correct. That's why, the mujtahid say, only God knows about it. At the end of the time, at the end of the day, they say, I don't know, I did my research, I did everything possible, but I don't know what to tell you. I think probably this is the right decision that I have made. In other words, there is a necessary conclusion about the present case that I am, giving. You go to the doctor for the first time, by the way, and you complain, I have a sore throat, doctor. And the doctor, based on his own knowledge from the previous, after all he has studied medicine for such a long time, he says, okay, we need to do culture of your throat, mucus, and we'll send it to the lab. In the meantime, you can take painkillers, you can take this, but I will not prescribe for you antibiotic until I find out if your, throat is infected. That's exactly the way it is done. But I'm bringing you one more time to another figure. I want to contrast. I want you to learn the contrast. That was a juridical decision, and the final result was a fatwa. That means if I know the mufti, if I trust the mufti, I follow it. I'm required to follow it. If I don't trust the mufti, I don't trust the mujtahid, I said, no, I'll follow my own understanding of the situation. But ethical decisions are a little bit different. What is involved in ethical decision is evaluating the rightness and the wrongness of a matter. My son is in a band in the university. He plays musical instrument. The way I've been told, musical instruments are no, it's haram, this and that, so. But my son is a very safe person. He is not a one who misses his salat or anything like that. And I know him. I can trust his character. And I want him to learn a musical instrument. It becomes an ethical issue rather than a legal one. Do you see the distinctions that I'm making? Musical instruments are not declared, on the whole, absolutely forbidden. They get forbidden because of the impact that it can have in the society. And here you find that I'm now making decisions about a case like that. I go through the experience of the human beings. How exactly would I make a decision? And ultimately I would come to a decision. So many issues are decided in ethics, but they are not in the form of an injunction. They are in the form of a recommendation. Ethics recommends you. Ethics committee in the hospital, they recommend to you a course of action. They never say, you must do it. That's not the style of ethicists. Now my thesis, just last sentence, last one or two sentences. What do I mean by that? What I'm suggesting in my book is this, that no jurist can ignore ethics in the analysis of any decision making if he or she is a good jurist. I also include she because there are also women mujtahids today. They are now making the decisions that are peculiar to the women's situation. In other words, what I'm saying is that the main principle that guides my action in the decision making is my ability to see the right and the wrong, to see the justice and injustice, to see what is applicable in just manner and unjust manner. Because anything that I do for you, you come and ask me an opinion. If I'm working in the hospital, I would give you the opinion. I will tell you very clearly that I recommend to you a course of action. I'm not entitled to give you a fatwa on this. That's not my job. But actually, it is my job, because judicial decisions are made carefully, based on the logic of the situation and what I know in the text. I want to tell you something in the final way. That I'll finish. Just please forgive me, I took a little longer, but I needed to complete my sessions. I just want to tell you that if you remove ethics from religion, it is religion who will suffer. Ethics will remain complaining that you don't follow me. You follow you follow your whims. You don't follow me. But if you keep ethics and religion together, then you will know very clearly what I'm saying. You don't need to go back and forth to the mujtahid to find the answers for what you need. Your common sense will tell you what is right for you and what is wrong for you. This is what Imam Ali wanted us to do. He said, the function of the revelation is to give you tools of thinking. My brothers and sisters, please, please, please. Tools of thinking. If you stop thinking, you are missing out on the major message of the Quran. Don't ever tell yourself, I am not supposed to think about the Quran and what the Quran teaches. The moment you do it, the Quran will die in your heart. It will remain on your tongues, like the surahs that you recite. Have you ever thought that the Fatiha that you are reciting is a prayer for yourself, not for the dead one? Have you ever thought about it? Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Ya Allah, guide us to the right path. Sirat alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayri al-maghdubi alayhim wala-dhalin. Ya Allah, you're asking about yourself and then you say, Fatiha mara baba apne. No. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't work that way. You read the Fatiha, you pray for yourself. You pray to be guided yourself, and then you guide and ask Allah subhanahu, Ya Allah, please have mercy on my father, on my mother. Please have mercy on them. Forgive them, forgive me, forgive everyone. Ya Allah, Rabbana taqabbal minna innakum antas samiul. There are so many things that I could have concluded with, but I want to conclude with the dua that I brought yesterday. This is dua Abu Hamza Somali. The last part of it is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. You can't think of any better way to pray. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. This is the last dua. Let's concentrate on this dua. Ya mafza'i inda kurbati ya ghawthi inda shiddati. When I'm in trouble, you are the one who comes to my help. إليك فزعت, I turn towards you. وبك استغثت, I ask for your help. وبك لذت لا ألوذ بسبب. I turn to you. There's no one else that I can turn to but you, Ya Allah. And I ولا أطلب الفرج إلا منك. I can't ask for help from anyone but you, Ya Allah. فأغثني وفرج عني. Help me out, Ya Allah. يا من يقبل اليسير ويعفو عن الكثير اقبل مني اليسير. Except from me. وعفو عني الكثير. Forgive me a lot, Ya Allah. إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك إيمانا تباشر بي قلبي ويقينا حتى أعلم أنه لن يصيبني إلا ما كتبت لي. I know whatever is going to befall on me, it will fall. I know it, Ya Allah. I'm not a predeterminist, but I know that once you have written something for me, they are bound to happen. Give me the intelligence to understand and digest what you have written for me. وَرَضِّنِي مِنَ الْعَيْشِ بِمَا قَسَمْتَ لِي يَا أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ. All of us together. يَا عُدَّتِي في كربتي ويا صاحبي في شدتي ويا ولي في نعمتي ويا غايتي في رغبتي أنت الساتر عورتي والآمن روعتي والمقيل وسرتي فاغفر لي خطيئتي يا أرحم الراحمين. Forgive my faults. Forgive my shortcomings, Ya Allah. You are the most kind.